Okay, quick question. Have you ever looked at your coffee maker and thought, why does this thing work so well? When it's basically just plastic and a hot plate. Like, you pour in water, toss in some grounds, press a button, and somehow you get a decent cup almost every time. Welcome to the smart side. Here, we learn new stuff every day. And today, we're unpacking the everyday science inside a coffee maker. Nothing fancy, just the real reasons it tastes good. And, well, why it sometimes doesn't. First thing to say out loud, most of what you're drinking is water. Not coffee, just water. So the machine's main job isn't actually make coffee. It's more like heat water to the right range, move it through the grounds, and, crucially, don't mess it up. And temperature? That's the big one. Because coffee is basically a controlled dissolve. If the water's too cool, it doesn't pull enough flavor out. That's when it tastes thin, sour, kind of sharp. But if the water's too hot, it starts dragging out the rough stuff. Bitterness shows up fast, and it can taste burnt, even if nothing is actually burning. So good machines aim for that sweet spot. Hot enough to extract the good flavors, but not so hot that the cup turns harsh. Now here's the part people don't expect. A lot of drip coffee makers don't use a normal pump motor to push water upward. They use steam. Down in the base, there's a heater and a little metal tube. Water at the bottom warms up, and then tiny steam bubbles start forming. And since steam takes up way more space than liquid water, those bubbles rise, and they shove little bursts of water up the tube. That's why you hear the gurgling. That sound is basically the machine pulsing water up to the top. Once the hot water gets up there, it hits the shower head. You know, the little part with holes? And yeah, it sounds like a small detail, but it matters a lot, because the water needs to spread across the coffee evenly. If the water only pours in one spot, it makes a channel. And after that, most of the water just takes that same easy tunnel and ignores a bunch of the coffee. That's how you get a cup that tastes weirdly mixed, like one part overdone and one part underdone. Now, for the main event, extraction. Coffee grounds have a whole bunch of stuff inside them. Some compounds taste bright and fruity. Some taste sweet and round. Some are just bitter. Hot water pulls those out, but not all at once. It happens in a specific order. Early in the brew, you get more of those bright, sharp notes. Then you get the sweetness and body. And if the brew keeps going too far, the bitter stuff starts taking over. So brewing is basically hitting a window. Not too short, not too long. And grind size is a huge part of that window. Finer grounds have more surface area, so they extract faster. Coarser grounds, much slower. If the grind is too fine for drip coffee, the water struggles to pass through. Everything slows down, and bitterness creeps in. If it's too coarse, the water flies through too fast, and the cup ends up tasting weak, watery, or sour. Quick detour. The filter really shapes the cup. Paper filters trap oils and fine particles, giving a cleaner, lighter taste with brighter clarity. Metal or mesh filters let more oils through, making coffee feel fuller and richer, sometimes a touch gritty. Neither is better by default, just preference and mood. You've probably noticed the first pour tastes best. That's when aromas are freshest and most concentrated. Aroma compounds are fragile. They escape into the air quickly. On a warming plate, those aromas fade, and heat can flatten sweetness or push bitterness over time. Quick espresso aside, same beans, different physics. Espresso drives hot water under pressure through very fine grounds. That pressure extracts flavor fast and creates crema, the foamy top layer. And it isn't just for looks, it holds aroma, so espresso smells extra intense. Now back to everyday machines, because there's one sneaky thing that changes over time: mineral buildup. If your water has minerals, and let's face it, most water does, they can slowly build up inside the heater and the tubes. That buildup acts like insulation. So the machine heats less consistently, and the water flow starts to change, which means your coffee can slowly change over weeks or months, even if you're using the same beans and doing everything exactly the same. So here's the simplest way to think about it. Your coffee maker is a control system. It's trying to keep the temperature in range, spread water evenly, and keep the timing close to just right. When your coffee tastes off, one of those things is usually drifting. Alright, quick recap before we finish. Most drip coffee makers move water using steam bubbles, not a motor pump. Even water coverage matters because channels make the brewing uneven. Filters change the taste, mostly by controlling oils. And letting coffee sit on the heat for too long? It just dulls the best aromas. So next time you make coffee, listen for that gurgle. That's not just noise. That's physics pushing water up a tube. And once you know what's happening, the whole thing feels less like a magic box and more like a really smart, everyday machine. If you enjoyed this and learned something new, please like and subscribe. It honestly means a lot to us, and it helps the smart side keep making videos like this. See you in the next one.